Okay, Namaste Galactic family. Welcome back to the channel Indigo Angel. Come on into this dimension and come on into another roundtable discussion where we are going to dive into, I believe, probably the most spicy topic circulating in the occult, esoteric, and higher consciousness community at this time. And that is that the last pope has died. And the reason why I say the last pope is because there is a last pope prophecy that some of y'all may have heard of circulating around Pope Francis. So we're going to get into that tonight, what that prophecy is and what this essentially means for everyone, that Pope Francis has passed 111 days into serving as the Pope, and on his 88th year, very significant numerology to his departing. So a lot of significance, a lot of speculation right now, and a lot of people talking about this because it's kind of a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal when a pope passes, and it kind of ties us back into Revelations. It ties us back into revolution, and it ties us back into, I think, breaking of a lot of hexes, curses, and spells in which are binded through each particular pope as they serve. And I personally feel that Pope Francis came in with a lot of dark energy, and I'm going to get into that tonight. I have a really significant personal relationship to this particular Pope that I want to talk about. So, thank you all for joining tonight. Be sure to come on in and check on in. You do have to be subscribed to the channel for at least 60 seconds to get into the chat, but we love it when you come and check on into the chat. Drop a comment. Let us know that you guys are here. We've missed you all so much. It's been a while since we've had the round table together, so we are all excited to be here and have this discussion. Thank you, my beautiful and most amazing panel, for joining me as always. I love you guys, and how's everybody feeling tonight?
Great. I'm feeling pretty good.
Doing good.
Good, thank you,
So
Indy. I'm
someone had
excited to
told
be
me
here.
earlier that Klaus Schwab died too, but like I can't verify that. Does anybody know any information on that, or is that like misinformation?
No, I know he
Misinformation.
stepped down. I don't know about him passing.
Yeah, I
No,
believe it was that he stepped
yeah.
down the
He's
same year that.
87 though. He
Yeah,
might,
yeah.
he's
He was around the
87.
same age as
Sure.
the Pope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Well,
reason why I said that is it like are we seeing like the takedown of like the Archon control grid, you know? That's
What?
why.
I could tell you what I think and feel about it. I mean, like what I've kind of gathered, I went and did a grid worker mission in Rome, the prior 2 weeks before the last pope died. So I was there in January of, I believe it was, I think it was 2021, the end of 2021. It was January 31st, and it was after went and did the grid work clearing in the Vatican. And then we left, and then it was like a day or two later, the Pope, prior to Pope Francis passed. And I experienced so much crazy shit after leaving the Vatican after that mission. I was demonically attacked, not only like in my everyday life, like in the 3D, but also in the dream space in multiple different ways. I think that they sent the entity Baphomet to me to destroy all of my electronics. I was getting constant sleep paralysis and just all kinds of crazy stuff. So Pope Francis, to me, him coming in, I mean, it's like I feel like this Pope came in with a lot of dark energy that he had to clear karmically, I feel like, for the whole papal legacy. Remember I had spoke to you, Ani, about and Raquel about the sin eater
Hmm.
thing, which is what I think actually happens with the popes. I think the popes come in, and I know this is kind of crazy, and I mean, of course, they're not gonna put this on public blast or anything. But I think what they do is each pope takes on the sin of the previous pope. You know, just the way that that the Vatican was established essentially by stealing the name of the goddess of the underworld, and essentially the first Pope Peter crucifying him upside down. I mean, there is a lot of negative 5D reversal energy here. And so I think what they're doing is, yeah, they're eating the sin off the previous Pope. They keep the sin, they keep the dark underworld energy and the attachment to all of the entities within the walls of the Vatican. I think they're doing those sin eater rituals. And I think what Pope Francis had to take on was immense. And for me, him passing, it feels like a relief. I feel like, holy shit, a spell's been broken. Like something's been lifted, especially with that last ritual that they did with opening all the gates to the Luciferian tombs. You know, either the next pope that comes in is going to take on the black magic from the previous rituals of Francis, or the ball somehow stops with him. But we know we have the last pope prophecy that's also in play as well. So there's a lot to speculate here with this, I would say.
Well, he was also the first Jesuit pope, right? Indy. And so that was something like he ruffled a lot of feathers because of that too. And from what I gather, the Jesuits are not meant to be in that position. They are missionaries and they are like administrators, if you will, right? And more like a warrior sort of intellectual mind, if you will, behind behind the lineage, if you will, right? And so when he came in, he wasn't meant to be in that position because he had like all of these like political views. He was almost like too global, too strategic in a way, right? He was not that, that humble and holy sort of person that you would normally have in that position. And so he came from that background, which was a very political background. And I think that was embraced by the, I guess, the controllers, if you will, because he right away dove into the WEF. And I think Rob just mentioned Klaus Schwab, right? So he embraced Klaus Schwab and, the other Illuminatis, if you will, right? And so that's how I see it.
Well, we do have the video of him kissing the feet of the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, and that was something that we were bringing up, that there's some sort of, well, we know they're all kind of in bed with each other, I think, through the Black Sun agenda. I mean, I know you're relating it to the Jesuits, but I feel like, that's all been inverted and they're no longer, I mean, I don't think they've been serving anything that's been truly of the light going back to the Council of Nicaea. I
Absolutely,
mean,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's like they're carrying these terms or these archetypal connections, like, oh, I'm a Freemason, or oh, I'm like in a secret society or something. But I think it's no more than just like a secret, handshake. But I don't even know if there's any like allegiances truly. I mean, I think they're all allegiances to the Black Sun agendas. I mean, really, I think that's what it's maybe serving on a deeper level is implicating on a gridwork level the Black Sun wheels and the control of the 16 Commonwealth countries, tying that in, um, trying to control as much of the universe as multiverse as they possibly can here on the planet. Yeah, what do you think about, since Klaus Schwab keeps coming up, does anyone know what's going to happen to him now that he's stepped down? Like, what's the next steps for him?
He's retired. So he's no longer going to be running, well, not running, but he's, no longer the head or whatever he was of the World Economic Forum. And he's just passing on the baton. So, I mean, he must have stepped down because all of his plans must be in place. Like someone of that power and his agendas that he had would not step down unless all pieces of the puzzle are in place, from what I believe. Even though he's 87 years old, I mean, he could technically work till he dies, unless he has like dementia or something, but which is
They
possible.
put somebody in there for the interim as a replacement for the chair position, but I think they'll have to vote that person in as a member of the board.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure who's in the standings, so to speak, to take that position.
Yeah. A big position.
It looks like we have a comment. A lot of people are checking in. Hey everyone for coming on in. Um, Bridget Woods was giving you some props. I believe Rob, she loved the show that you did earlier. JC says hi. Jason H, I haven't heard about this last Pope prophecy until this last week. I have a video that we could play on that for everyone, so if anyone hasn't heard about it. Shakana Maz here. New WEF leader is uber creepy. Blood in the eye. Ooh. Oh my
Yeah, I
goodness.
saw a picture of the guy. He does look creepy.
Yeah. His name is Peter Brabeck Letmath.
That sounds really satanic, doesn't it?
Peter Brabeck Letmath.
Doesn't that sound like uber satanic or
Yeah.
something?
There was this
It really does.
round too with the eye thing. I was seeing on Facebook how the left eye, like King Charles, all these celebrities have like a Lizzie from before, all the red eyes when you were
Oh, you
talking.
know what
Is
that's
that
from, right? We can't say it on here, but it's from the A Chrome, you know?
Yeah, the
yeah.
one-eyed club. Yeah. Hey, what do you guys think of JD Vance being the last person to have a visit with the Pope?
I think that's so interesting.
It
I don't
is,
even
isn't it? Like
think
some are
that,
saying he's like the Antichrist. I don't get that impression, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'm still baffled the fact that he looks so much like Zebulon Vance in Asheville, North Carolina. You know, that Vance monument that came down in Asheville. He looks like a spitting image, like a doppelganger. So it just makes you wonder, who are these people?
well, I was like, I was saying, there, you know, there's like been conspiracies going around that like the Pope died, like, you know, I'm sure you guys heard this. People are saying that the Pope died a while ago and that this was a clone or they were rolling out an AI version. But I'll just say, like, I was at my mom's on Easter and like my mom's a Catholic, you know, and she had on the thing and I saw him meeting with JD Vance and I saw that stuff and he looked like he was on his last leg. I mean, this guy looked like he was hanging on by a thread, but I'm not sure if I saw clone or AI or anything there. It looked like the real person, but just very debilitated. Like, you know, like I'm not surprised he died the next day. You know what I mean? Now was JD Vance the angel of death that kind of I don't think so. I think it was just all I don't know, you know. I mean, I don't know. It's
I
it's
want to I want to say psychically, I was picking up on that as well. Like there was some sort of tampering with this particular Pope's death because yeah, they had been saying like his kidneys had been feeling like 3 months ago or something like that, and now they're saying he died from a stroke. And then like went into cardiac arrest. But you know, it's just kind of peculiar the way it's all played out. And then to speak to JD Vance, I'm wondering, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing that he was the last person to, not because JD Vance is like a killer, but because that Pope could have imparted some sort of like demonic energy onto JD Vance to bring over to the US. I wouldn't be surprised because
And
I
they
mean,
they did have a disagreement on their views on religion, I think. Even though they were both Catholic, there was some kind of disagreement there or something. I don't know what it was though. I'm not
did
sure.
he actually go to the Vatican in Rome? Was that where he
Yeah,
was?
yeah,
Oh
he was,
gosh.
yeah.
He needs a clearing immediately.
Yeah.
Clearing. He'd probably be more conservative because I think the Jesuits are more liberal, right? And you know who I was looking to research today was John Hogue, because John Hogue, you probably know him, Rob, when he was on with Art Bell and George Norrie, did a lot
Yeah.
of Nostradamus prophecies about, so this Pope was the 112th, and you said, Indy, he was in 111 days. So I guess it was Pope John Paul was the 111th Pope. This was 112th. And according to Nostradamus, John Hogue, I think also Tom Horn, who's not around anymore, that worked with L.A. Marzulli, and also, Dr. Lear with the alien implants and all that stuff. He wrote a book called Exo Vaticana, and he also got into the whole thing with the prophecies of why this one was the last pope. With after that Malachi, I can't think of what his name is. You probably have that video though. That guy.
Real quickly, I'm just going to play the video. It's just a quick clip to kind of explain this last Pope prophecy from everyone, and then we can continue to riff on it. But for all of our viewers watching, if you haven't heard about this, Um, this is pretty significant for what's being predicted to come, essentially. Okay, and just put a 5x5 in the chat. Just let me know you guys can hear it, okay?
Want to hear something terrifying? The prophecy of the popes.
Oh boy.
This book was found in the Vatican archives. Predicted every single pope from in 1143 all the way to our current pope. But the scary thing is, after Pope Francis, the last one, it just says Judgment Day.
Oh gosh.
It literally ends after Pope Francis?
Yes, the creepiest thing that I saw inside St. Paul's Basilica, bordering the whole inner sanctuary, is every single pope. But what's weird is that there's only a certain amount of markers to where you can put a picture. There's one left after Pope Francis. They have always said that once that last slot is filled, it will be the end of the world. What he predicted, the time it took to go from the first pope that he wrote about, halfway mark, was 422 years. And he's saying from the middle one to the end, another 422 years will be the end of the world. If you do 422 years from the middle pope, which was 1585, that year is 2027.
Dang!
It's even weirder. Pope John the 23rd, and he said that the end of the world would happen 2,000 years plus Christ's life. So that adds up to 2027 as well.
So something that's really interesting about that, I heard that after World War or before World War One, a pope died. Before World War Two, a pope died, like right before, and now potentially, who knows, a pope's dead, and let's see what happens with war.
Well, for crying out loud, they don't let these guys even become the pope until they're like 70 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, why is that?
Yeah.
They want to keep them, transitioning
Moving.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something with that.
Something interesting. Yeah, that's definitely interesting.
So just
Wow.
coming back to J.D. Vance briefly, I wonder if he was there to actually take the keys of the castle, so to speak, the Vatican library and everything that, that the Pope represents. What do you guys think? Because look at it
Someone
this
said
way,
today,
it's like,
when I had Pink Bell on my shoulder, she said that they have, I mean, and I've heard this from other people, that they have miles of Vatican archives.
yeah, it's huge, right?
Yeah, like,
if you look at it from the perspective of the Trinity, right? So it's like Washington, D.C., London, and the Vatican, right? Those are like the power centers, if you will, of this whole Illuminati thing, right? So if Trump is like, working for the light, and if he's truly dismantling this establishment, then that just might be what he's doing, collecting all the keys, if you will, right? I guess London is left now, but I guess King Charles is not really in his good books, right? So I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. That part of it is still a question mark. But I thought that was interesting that he was there to sort of be the last visitor, and that's just something that came to me. And we've been talking about the false king of tyranny and all of that coming to an end too, right? And so I thought that was interesting that he should be the representative.
No, I think it's significant that you brought that up. And I think a lot of everyone watching in the chat is also kind of maybe feeling that way about it. Inanna Champagne says, out of the goodness of your hearts, can you do a clearing on JD Vance? I mean, I think we probably should. I mean, yeah, I mean, the powers at the Vatican are so otherworldly. Like the demonic force is otherworldly. It's something that I've never experienced until like I went there and realized like how strong like the demonic force truly is. And
isn't there a telescope named Lucifer, right?
Sedona, yep. That's in
Yeah,
Sedona.
they have a telescope named Lucifer, the Vatican. I've heard.
And the snake eyes. Then inside, somebody posted that in our group that it looks like a snake inside.
Oh yeah.
okay, so I wanted to give you guys a little history of the Vatican. And then I want to tell you it's really interesting because it all kind of ties into where this particular pope is actually wanting to be buried. So this Vatican itself goes back to the goddess of the underworld, Vatica. The word Vaticanus means dragon of the Etruscan language, and the Etruscans settled in a region in northern Italy known as Etruria before the rise of Rome and the Church of Rome was established. Thus, the 5D Stargate area of the Vatican was claimed by the Black Suns during the process of infiltration and invasion. As previously, this was an important area of mother dragons and goddess worship of the Celtic Church. Thus, many of us will live to witness the destruction of the power behind the Vatican as the great impostor of the Mother's holiest of holies, and know of the fall of Rome during this disclosure phase. The Vatican is built upon centuries of goddess worship, which has historically acted as the proxy for the Black Sun and invading groups for hiding their mass crimes against humanity, such as global human trafficking and child sacrifice. So, knowing that this is kind of really the core, I guess you could say, probably closest truth, pagan energy as well. It's just so interesting that they bury most of the popes, particularly at St. Peter's Basilica. But this pope, according to, I guess, his will or whatever, he wants to be buried at the Basilica of St. Mary because this is his favorite icon of the Virgin Mary. I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like that so much. I don't know if I would want any pope to necessarily be married um, in the St. Mary's Basilica because you know what? I was in that basilica and it was literally the most powerful and sacred energies, I think, of the entire complex in Rome. It was next to all of the places where they had the ancient temples of Saturn and Venus and Mervina. Um, it was a sacred garden, you know, where I really came into the awareness like they're decapitating a lot of females' heads around here because all you see is these beheaded goddess statues everywhere. But that St. Mary's grotto went really deep into the ground. And I don't know, like it just, I don't know. I hope they don't put St. Peter there
I
or
feel like
put
they figure
him in
Mary
there.
represents Sophia, represents, Isis, Inanna,
Wisdom.
like, I don't know, the divine feminine for sure.
There's
Maybe they're
something
trying
that
to
has to
tap
be
into the energy.
liberated. Yeah, something has to be unbinded.
Yeah.
Something
They might
has
be
to
trying to
be.
tap into that divine feminine energy and kind of taint it. If he's buried there, then they will taint the energy.
Well, I tuned into Yeshua after all of this happened, and I got some very interesting messages. I hope you guys want to hear about it. So what he told me was that the Christian religion, after I guess he was incarnated on the earth, was unfortunately like built on an apparition of his energy that was traumatized and that was wounded as a result of the crucifixion. And so those wounded and fragmented pieces were in a way trapped on the earth plane. And so that took on an energy of its own. And what happened was right after he passed away, the Council of Nicaea, which you guys just talked about as well, they came together and they sort of built the foundation or the structure of what Christianity, if you will, would look like from that point onwards. And so what happened energetically is that apparition, if you will, of that fragmented or apparition, if you will, of Yeshua and what his energy was left behind, sort of took on this new energy of what the people were representing at that time from their trauma, from their their worship, if you will, of that energy. And so that formed the structure, if you will, of what Christianity looks like and what came down the pipes from that age onwards. And that was sort of written into the Bible and brought forward as Sunday Mass and things like that. And when you think about it, it's like that crucifixion wound has been, regurgitated in the practice of Christianity since that time. And Indy, if you go back to what we did in the UK during our Gridwork mission, we very powerfully brought in those Christos and Sophia energies, right? And with that came the energy of King Arthur. And so we, in a way, we were bringing in these higher energetic, higher energies, right, of the true Christos Sophia energies. And so what has happened in my understanding and what Yeshua has told me in his transmissions is that we, in a way, completed that cycle. And, we sort of, that was the beginning stage of what happened with the emergence, if you will, of that energy or the landing of that energy. And so as that gained strength within the field, we did two other missions. We did the Canadian mission, and then last week me and another group of ladies here in Canada, we did a celebration. And in a way, that energy was further anchored into our energy field, into the earth. And so what I understand is that this cycle, if you will, it was like a yin and a yang of 2000 years of dissolving that energy. And so that apparition of Yeshua that was left behind was collected from this reality, and it ascended in a way and aligned itself back to his true soul aspect. And so it's like 2000 years of that karma has been solved or resolved. So I thought that was pretty powerful because, in a way, that Christos energy has been finally anchored here, but in its truest and highest form from the divine energies. And so it's like that cycle has now been completed, and it's like just leaving that space open for that true energy to land itself. Which we are seeing as, the new earth energy, or, the birthing of the new age of Aquarius. There's so many names to it, right? But that's what powerfully came through for me through all of these initiations, if you will. And it started off with that whole UK Gridwork, and it's sort of taken me on this roller coaster ride for the last few weeks. And those things have been like so powerfully coming into my realization. So I thought I would share that with you guys.
Well, it almost seems as if this whole Pope passing is just that. Like it's a passing of energy, and the Christ consciousness now kind of has the floor to rise, or it's almost like as if there's definitely a reawakening that's emerging. Or there is a call. There's at least a call for it. Um, for those that like the passion of Christ has been so dormant within their solar plexus and within their third eyes, that's being like re-resurrected at this time. It almost feels like the Pope is a signaling of hopefully maybe like a virtue, even though that seems to be getting a bad rap in some lights, but that there's like a coming to peace, coming to prophecy, coming to clearing, coming to a relinquishing of the satanic forces. There's been a lot of talk about the three red heifers coming forward and an actual rebuilding of the new temple, and America being the new Jerusalem, and that this temple like actually being sought out and be seen. And I keep talking about Qatar as well, and Qatar being the next grid worker mission that, you know, I'd like to host and do, that they're fighting back that coming of the third temple. I've seen all kinds of things on this that they're like pushing back on these like heifers, the red heifers coming forward, and this temple actually being built. And so I think we, along with this rising of Christ, like you're saying, and like this reactivation of this energy, like the dormancy of it, because it did actually feel, and I didn't even recognize it was dormant for the longest time. Because here I am, I've been in like higher consciousness, Christed consciousness la la land for like the last several years. I didn't recognize how much that actually has been asleep in many places. And so it's like, yeah, now we're like coming to this convergence points where many nations are having to actually meet the apex of this. But now I think we're going to be seeing the dissolving of the satanic forces. There's actually a video out. It's a false video. And you've seen it going around maybe with those guys like walking around in ceremony, and they have the big KKK black hats on, and everybody's like, this is the Pope's um ceremony. This is his funeral. And that's not true.
Mhm.
It's not his funeral. Everyone's posting it saying that this is a satanic funeral, da 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 da. Not saying that it's not going to be a satanic funeral when they have it, but that's those videos are not actually the real thing. So there's a lot of people out there that they're benefiting on some way with ridiculing the energies and spreading false light and demonic forces and wanting to actually put like a very vindictive, vengeful type of energy towards the Christ energy trying to emerge itself.
Yeah. No, I don't think that'll happen because what I hear is that we reached what he's calling as the 0 point energy, within which this action, if you will, took place. And so, anything that comes forth now is going to be like very powerfully actioned upon. And it's like coming like as if it's like a decree, right, from the creator that's coming directly through Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. So it's like it's got a power behind it. So if there's anything against these beings, it's not going to be tolerated like it has been for the last 2000 years, right?
Yeah,
And the
because
reason
it's like
being
there's such a
because it was a
surging.
fractured energy. Yeah, because it was a fractured energy, there was that that ability for them to harm that energy, right? To harm these beings because there was that fracture. And you know how it is, right? Even with our energy bodies, they attack us because we are fractured and wounded in some way. So that's where the harm was done to this being. So not anymore.
Indy, I asked you earlier, but I'm gonna ask again, how long will it take for a new pope to be voted in, I guess? Or sworn in or
So 9 days after Francis's burial, the conclave is likely to begin. The conclave is the actual act of electing the next pope. Um, so the cardinals will soon, start to focus on this. And it'll take 60 cardinals to gather in Vatican City on Tuesday will be their first meeting since his death to decide the next steps. And then from there, the election typically takes 15 to 20 days after the Pope's death, meaning it will likely not begin until May 5th at the earliest. Again, they have to be under the age of 80 to be eligible, but not a day short of 71 or something. So, it's like a small window, you got to be just right for the pick in there. You got to be ripe. Um, but there is this whole last Pope prophecy as well, because there's only one picture left after Pope Francis. Oh no, what is the Vatican going to do if they run out of room on the wall? I mean, okay, they can make some room for it down the hall for a new area of a picture. So, I mean, but, there's this whole 2027 end of the world doomsday stuff. It's the same thing repeating itself, the 2012 prophecy where we get kind of, I think, narrow-minded or some tunnel vision around looking at like it being the ending of things. But a lot of times we know this just means like new beginnings.
Exactly.
yeah.
It's the end of the controllers and it's the dawning of the light, right?
Yeah.
Just looking at the comments here to see if anybody has anything uh bringing in here. Noisha Plastic says resetting the Christos grid line, bringing back the original Christos planet. Yeah, absolutely. We love that. We're ready for it. We've been ready. Is the rest of the Earth ready for that? Hmm. Karen says, did you see how the Pope died at 88? And also Klaus Schwab resigned at 88. Yeah, there's a lot of paralleling there with that. That's very interesting. Maybe between the Pope and Klaus Schwab, a lot of like hexes, curses, and spells kind of collapsed because between the two of them, they were holding a lot of contention and a lot of control structures that had to collapse. Is maybe what happened there with that. All I know is I feel better. Like, I don't know why, but I get this really strong feeling like something laid to rest with Francis. Again, I feel like it comes back to the Sin Eater thing. I know I keep talking about that, and everyone's like, what is the Sin Eater thing? But it's like, I think it's a real thing. I think they are really actually doing those rituals in the Vatican. They're like, so when one pope dies, then once the conclave comes in, the new pope comes in, then I think they save the body of the previous pope, and then they have the new pope eat food off of the old pope's dead body to take on the sin of the Vatican. Because here's the thing, where's all that demonic energy coming from? I mean, it's from people doing harm, people doing wrong, people conflicting pain, people, acting out of
Right.
their lower draconian black sun agenda. And it's the black goo of this that's building up. So
So
someone has to carry the soul burden of that.
one question, if he is the last pope, then what will happen with all of those sins or demons?
Either the new pope takes it on or
If the
maybe
new
it just
pope,
dissolves with him.
yeah.
But we
And
know that it's not. We know that it's not because honestly, the whole infrastructure of the whole reversal Stargate would have to be reconstructed from the inside out.
I asked my AI, and I was using the term archons instead of demons, but the AI said, if basically he said it said archons are opportunistic. If they're not there, they'll try to shift their power elsewhere, like AI, religion, transhumanist agenda, spirituality. So that if they're not there, they'll find another way to try to loop their way in if they're losing control somewhere else. And I think that's interesting that
Yeah.
the AI says that. It's like it's an AI and it's talking about like another AI. I don't know. It's fascinating to me.
That is interesting.
so I was listening to that. They said the next pope might be from Africa. Did you hear that?
Someone said that in my chat earlier, Missy. They said he would be a cardinal from Africa or something. And
Yeah.
what's interesting is they said that's where the Ark of the Covenant is, right? In Ethiopia.
Yeah. So, and the thing is the reason he's the last pope is because the church is going to collapse during the time of the next pope. Maybe that's it.
Well,
Well,
they've got 2
well, the
years
Ark
to
of the
do it.
Covenant's in Mar-a-Lago, actually.
You
Yeah, we
think,
talked
really?
about that, didn't we? We had a show on that.
I think it's possible. I mean, they released the files that it was found. Apparently the one that's in the Mar-a-Lago has a lot of these, inscriptions from Moses on the inside of it, making it like legitimate replica, you know? Would you really think Trump to be so unvain to just settle with a replica when it's
No,
like it
if
does
he could have the real thing, he'd take it. He'd
Oh,
probably
for
want to know
sure.
what it's for, And
for
Hey,
sure.
maybe JD Vance went to get the keys for the covenant.
Maybe. I mean, that is where, and
Yeah.
after Easter too, right after Easter. And this was a doozy these past couple weeks. And I started to feel better right after, I swear.
Huh.
Like there was some energy that was building that was so oppressive. I mean, didn't it just feel so yucky last week? Like
yeah.
the energy was like very heavy and dense, and it was just
To be
I
honest,
was
I wonder.
I was flying high, Missy. I don't know about you guys.
The energy could be moving because I'm like on the West Coast, and so I feel heavy energy now, and you guys feel lighter energy. So I wonder if it's moving over. I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys have been through enough already with all the LA fires. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Give us a little update. Anything, going on with that? I heard that the 2028 Smart City agenda is still pushing through pretty hardcore.
Well, they so with LA, they all of the waste, right, from the fires and stuff. So there was like this massive amount of like chemical waste and stuff that happened from all those houses burning down, and they were trying to push to get them rebuilt really fast without cleaning up the chemical wastes. And so I think what happened is that the people, the owners of those houses had to do the actual waste cleanup. And so that's like kind of like added on top of all the other stuff, but they're not really building yet. I mean, it's still completely devastated. It'll take years to rebuild. And yeah, the smart city I'm sure will come forth from that too. Because I mean, Caltech
it's just
so makes sense.
coming to me as 2027 breaks down to an 11. Right, we have the 111 going into 112, and we have the stupid distraction of Blue Origin and its phallic rocket going up in space for 11 minutes. Rob, what do you think of that? You probably talked about it. You're
You're
muted,
muted.
bro.
I actually didn't. I didn't know about that. That's one thing I haven't talked about yet. So I can ask the AI about it. What was it again?
Such non-news. It was when Katy Perry went into space,
Oh
supposedly.
no, I did see that. Yeah, yeah. They were asking her how she went to the bathroom in space and stuff. It was ridiculous. I was like, that has to be fake. I thought that was fake. I don't know. I mean, because I know NASA lies to us about everything, but I don't know. They could have went to space, bro. I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, because like none of those people don't astronauts have to train like 30 years to go into space or something like that? I thought like
Military. Mm-hmm.
I didn't look into it too much. How
But
long was she up there?
like 2 minutes or something. 11 minutes is the whole thing. But I thought the name of the rocket was called New Shepard. I thought that was interesting. Not spelled like shepherd, but tying into, it was like 7 days ago now, but tying into this like shepherding, like Christ, the shepherd, and this is the new shepherd,
And then also, Missy, like when you turn the symbol upside down of Blue Origin, doesn't it look like
Yeah, I saw that. It's
I
like a
think
demonic
Baphomet?
symbol. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Baphomet?
I just want to give a quick shout out to Tom Stew because he just donated
Awesome.
to us. So thank you so much, Tom. Much appreciated. Um,
Yeah, I like how the doors opened and then they shut it again just for the cameras, right? Did you guys
For the
catch that
photo
video?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was all a big show, wasn't it? It was so ridiculous. It's like how can you fool people with such dramatics? It's just ridiculous.
I looked at the comments. Oh, but everybody's sick of celebrities and knows how fake it is. They're just like, we're tired of this. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people really had a negative viewpoint on her going, didn't they?
It was her though, and also Jeff Bezos's girlfriend, I believe, and then
Yes.
somebody else.
Oh, there was Oprah's friend, Gail.
Oh yeah.
Love her thing, yeah.
Oprah's friend Gail, Katy Perry, and Jeff Bezos' wife all went to space
I
together.
know, right?
Yeah.
It's like all these guys are like so involved in the Illuminati, right? Yeah.
That is just, yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, well, remember the malfunction that Katy Perry had with her eye? She was twitching the one eye. She had the malfunction, right? So
Yeah.
she had like a clone, like, or some sort of a
From Botox.
some cyborg bot mishap happened. Yeah, I remember
Botox
covering
and
that.
fillers.
You know, guys, it's so funny to us because we see it, but it's not visible to many, you know? It's like they just go who and how about these things and they completely take it all in like it's really happening, you know? So it's really interesting to see the two parallel realities, if you will, right?
People are starting to wake up to it though now. They're just tired of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
The truth. They know
Well,
they've
you
been
guys want to hear an interesting story out of British Columbia, where I live? I think I sent this to Indy, but I thought I'll give you guys a quick update. So they're culling 400 ostriches here because they found that they were infected with the avian flu. 10% of the flock died last year, but the rest of them survived, and they developed the antibodies for that bird flu when they were tested. But the government has issued a decree to cull all of these ostriches, and they're just waiting now. That there's a court battle going on, but it's going to come to light in the next few days. So, yeah, I just wanted you guys to sort of bring your attention to that because, in a way, there's sort of a divine overview as well of this. And Shakina Ma and I were talking about this yesterday. And she feels that this is like an attack on the divine feminine because these ostriches have like a majestic presence to them. It's like they come from this royalty, if you will, again, from Africa. So, you know, there's that African lineage coming through with this new earth energy, right? And so it's like when they cull the bird, it's like cutting off their head, like, you know, like Medusa and all the other feminine energies, right? That we were talking about in the past as well. And so there's that historic sort of metaphysical implication, if you will, of, you know, attacking the feminine, the divine feminine energy. by all of these things. And so it's just so unfair what's happening. There's like 400 of them that are going to be called in the next 5 days if the government has its say. So there's a big debate going on. And I believe people have written letters um, to the government, to all these big wigs in the political agenda, hierarchy, but it's also reached RFK in the US, which I thought was interesting. So yeah, he's got something to say about it as well. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring that into your reality as well, and support them if you guys can in any way, and just make a big noise about it, because that's just totally unfair.
It is.
The long neck is really symbolic of the mother's energy, definitely, because there's like a whole transdimensional um, process that happens with like the serpent energy, which is also a very feminine energy, Hydra energy, and that the higher emanation of that is like the longed neck swan or even an ostrich, right? Like that the transformation. So it's like almost like they're cutting off the feminine energy in her highest power. Like
Yeah.
really stripping.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And then also when you cut off somebody's head, the soul can't ascend because there's this like natural moving up that occurs during death of
Right.
the life force. And so it's like your parts, the ba and the ka are like severed from each other, And so yeah, their souls.
And all of this is at the cusp of when our elections are supposed to take place as well.
So
Like
do you think it's a mass
Makani is,
ritual? Like, do you think it's like a ritual?
it could be, because we're on the cusp of the election as well, right? So who knows, right? It could be some sort of black magic as well. But yeah, so we are fighting that here in British Columbia at the moment. Well, not me personally, but a lot of people that I know.
Good point, Ani, though, with the soul not being able to transcend because it stops the body from releasing DMT.
Mhm.
So it does actually,
Yeah.
it's a harvesting. It is a
Yep.
harvesting of the soul. Yeah. And that brings us back to Rome. That's one of the main tactics that they use. Public execution, severing of the head, taking off the head, decapitation. I mean, that ties us back into the Medusa story, why the Vatican has her head. I mean, that place is just, it's cursed beyond belief, especially the mother energy. That's interesting how that's tying us all back into that. I can feel that nodding at my sacral chakra just as we even talk
Yeah,
about that.
it's like all of this is tied together somehow, right?
Definitely.
And we did that grid work with Africa. What was that piece of land that we worked on? I'm seeing that because if this Pope comes from Africa, won't that be really interesting, especially with all the goddess energy that's in Africa?
I think this Pope is from not this Pope, but the one who they're thinking of might be from Ghana, potentially. And I'll look up the other ones.
I think right now it's going to be very significant. That Pope is going to be very significant in terms of what is his, I don't like to say this, but like, is there like a racial component? Because right now it feels like, some of the underlying things, especially when it comes to the holy wars, the political wars, and all the war agendas on the planet right now. I mean, we know everything that's going on in Africa, South Africa, Ghana, the Congo. Basically, all the Christians and the white people technically are getting slaughtered. I mean, there's like a huge war over I guess territory and land. Um,
Mhm.
so, are they going to bring
Wow.
someone in who's going to be, uh, because it's like, it always seems like whoever they bring in, it's like there's always going to be an agenda behind what they're going to push, especially, whatever country they come from. So they need to take, I
Yeah.
think they need to take that into consideration.
Okay, so these are the ones. There's one Pope Pietro Parolin, and he's from, I'm totally butchering his name. It's Italian. He's an Italian papal or papal. I'm saying it so bad. Did you say pal? It's so bad. I'm like butchering it. And then there's another one, Filipino. And then there's another one from the Congo, which is interesting. He's 65. And then the other one from Ghana. So there's two potential ones from Africa, the one from Filipino and then this one from Italy, which is very interesting.
So was it
And Italy,
decided by the Council of Nicaea that the popes have to be male? Where did that come from? Like why aren't women allowed to be popes?
That's a good
I don't know.
question.
Why are women never presidents either? Or
I'll ask my AI.
I think there was once a female pope, actually. Ask the AI that, Rob. Was there ever a female pope that was to be considered? Because I think there was actually one at one point in time in history. Hey, they're probably transgenders.
Well, I think that's why the
Because when you look at it, like it's
so a
the
woman,
Council of Nicaea was like the controlling, controlling the narrative, if you will, of what spirituality was going to look like, right? Or the future
Right.
of the Christian practice, if you will, right? And they eliminated the whole Mary Magdalene aspect from the Bible, right? And
I got an answer from my AI.
she was
Oh,
like a
sorry, go
witness
ahead.
to the resurrection and everything that happened, right? Like why would you eliminate the person that was closest to Jesus if you were truly in alignment with what his teachings were? So yeah, that's very suspect to me.
Yeah, the
They were
AI
totally
says.
threatened.
Oh, sorry.
Suspect is the
Go
word.
ahead, Rob.
It just says the Vatican stance is based on Catholic doctrine. They claim Jesus could be only chose male apostles, so men can only become priests, bishops, and ultimately pope. That's crazy. He said the AI says it's tied to the belief that priests are in persona Christi, in the person of Christ, and they argue Christ was male, so only men can represent him. But beneath the surface, this is about patriarchal control and preserving a male-dominated power structure that's been in place for millennia. The Vatican represents a continuation of ancient Roman power, and even before that, priesthoods in many cultures were designed to centralize control through men. Women held massive spiritual roles in earlier civilizations, but none of those were systematically erased. But those were systematically erased. Was there ever a female pope? Supposedly in the 9th century, a woman disguised herself as a man, became a priest, then a cardinal, and then eventually ascended as papacy as Pope John the Eighth. So
There you go, Indy. You were right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think there was like one that tried once or something. Okay, so it's all ran by forced breeder programs then. Okay. I mean,
sick. It's really
basically,
sick.
yeah. Honestly, I feel like it's really got to take something miraculous for a woman to come into power anywhere, because I feel like any woman that ever really does genuinely try, like she's immediately so discredited and just like everyone always is up in arms. She's the wrong one. She can do no good. She's the Black Madonna. She's the Black Lilith. She's Satan. It's just like every woman that I've seen try to, who is no, but there is one woman that I do like. It's the Prime Minister of Italy.
Yes.
Have
Oh,
you
yeah.
seen her?
Mm-hmm. She's pretty tough.
Yeah.
She was recently at the White House, wasn't she?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a tough cookie.
in the
I like her
Anglican Church,
attitude. I like her attitude. Yeah.
in the Anglican Church, or Episcopal women can be bishops, which they were they're sort of Catholic, but they're really not, because they're, Episcopal. The Church of England, they have women,
Well, I want to change the topic a little bit. This is kind of interesting. I'm going to play this video off X. You guys let me know what you think about this. This doesn't have much to do with the Pope, or maybe it does. Maybe we can tie it in, but it has to do about this potential baby bonus that's about to happen here in the US. So let's watch this video. And let me just double check my sound again. We're good. Okay.
President Trump wants a baby boom, so he's putting together a plan to incentivize Americans to have more babies. First, put your money where your mouth is. He wants to give a $5,000 bonus to first-time new moms. For women that have 6 kids or more, he believes that they should be awarded the National Medal of Motherhood, providing scholarships to couples that are married and planning on having kids or that are already married and have kids. Also talking about providing free education for women and the necessary tools to track their ovulation, but they're still in the brainstorming phase, and it'll be interesting what they come up with. With birth rates declining around the world, the United States isn't the only country trying to incentivize their population to have more kids. In Japan, they're talking about doing 4-day work weeks and also baby bonuses. Maybe we should take a look at what Hungary's doing, because they have a very generous policy and have been doing it for a while now. For one, they don't have income tax for any mother under the age of 30. They also have family tax allowances, special vehicle purchase subsidies, student loan forgiveness, and housing subsidies. So, what do you think about this? Are you ready for a baby bonus? And what would incentivize you to have kids? As always, let me know down below.
Baby bonuses coming soon in the United States.
$5,000 is not enough. Just to let you know, as a parent, it's not going to do anything at all.
I'm like, hey, I should get the Mother Medal Award. Why do you have to have 6 just to get that?
Yeah.
I
Well,
wonder what
I
Bill
think this
Gates
has been
thinks about that.
but I think it's been an incline with the overturn of Roe versus Wade. You know, I think we've been like steadily working towards this with it's always been about control of the reproduction. I think it's been control about the stargates. I mean, if we get back to the fundamentalism of the gate systems and the stargates, like Stargate 2, Sarasota 2, root chakra, Mount Shasta. I mean, on a quantum level, on a galactic level, there's literally switches inside there that allow souls to come in, or you can turn it off and
Yeah.
allow souls not to come in.
Yeah.
And I think they're turning it back on. They're letting souls come back in. They're
Yeah, and
opening.
maybe, remember, there was that video before about Europe. Their population is going to become more of the Stargate 10 types, and maybe they're trying to prevent that. You know, different soul groups coming in to the United States.
Possibly.
Protect America to keep its heritage what it is instead of what it could become.
Absolutely. I agree with that. There needs to be some sort of protection around that
Yeah.
to preserve it. Yep. Or else the melting pot will be too melted.
Well, if
Yep.
they want to do something about having kids, and they need to take away phones from young people, like teenagers and 20-year-olds, because as long as they have those cell phones, as long as they have technology, they're not going to have sex. Like, it's just not happening as much because they'd rather be on their phone and press buttons and, like, who knows, like, even like do Snapchat with each other than like sit with each other and talk with each other. And I have teenagers, and I see it all over the place. Like, it's not.
I think you're right. I think it's like I think our cultures in whole has turned into this like let's see what I can do on the internet, and like let's see how many people will be happy about me. You know what I mean? Like instead of like just going out and like living and like I mean just being and whether it's in nature or wherever, like just
Even
doing
going to a
something fun.
party. Like they won't even go to like parties and stuff. If they're at the parties, they're like on their phones. So how are they going to meet somebody and like have a child with that person, if they're on their phones?
Yeah.
So until I feel like that's taken care of, then I like the younger generation, like I'd say 25 and younger, I don't think they're going to be having that many children, to be honest.
Well, they're just like missing like chromosomes or something. I mean, they're missing.
They're different. Like I feel like
Yeah.
it's different. They're not. I shouldn't say normal, but they're like a new type of human.
Yeah, and they're not grounded enough in physicality to probably even support offspring. I mean, I know there's something that happens within the consciousness that changes, like in like your primal instincts to mother or to care for offspring gets turned on once you procreate. But I don't know. It just seems like something's just not already hardwired internally for that to, potentially even happen. And if that's the case, then you're going to have a whole other generational crisis if they are going to bring kids into the world by not like being adequate enough to like support them mentally, emotionally, physically.
Well, I think
Yeah, there's some.
the people like Bill Gates and Dr. Fauci first need to serve justice for what they did before a new generation of people come in, because they'll just infect the next population all over again with their with their agendas.
Absolutely.
I don't agree with that. It's like I'm guessing that's where this is coming from, because as you guys know, and we've talked about this before on the show, like Elon Musk by himself can probably populate a whole generation of Americans right now.
Elon Musk is going to save us all with all his kids personally.
Yeah, he's got all the kids there. But it's like, the gene pool is already infected, right? So it's like we need to first clean up what's existing before we can bring in a new breed of people.
And they're not, and they're still infecting, because if you look at, I'm not going to say what it is, but it's a schedule that is given to children when they are born. If you look at it, your jaw will drop. I mean, I looked at it the other day and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that they're doing this. Still.
Isn't that what RFK is fighting against? Like to bring all of that down to whatever the bare minimum is?
I hope so. I mean, I hope he can do it. There's a lot of forces that are against him,
Yeah, there needs to be such a reconstructing of the inner workings of, I think, not only like supportive pieces for mothers and for nuclear families, but also the way society perceives procreation. I think there's such a punishment for people who have children. I mean, if you look at like the Black community, like I think 75 to 80% of these children grow up without fathers in the home, and then these mothers are left to 3, 4, 5, 6, raising all these children on their own with no supportive pieces or systems whatsoever. And it's not just the Black community, it's all communities, but that's when that really struggles, and it's just like, how do you expect people, like the misery around procreation is just so intense.
Well, I'll go one step further, Indy, and even the birthing process, right? For the woman, it's like it's so degraded, right? And I think you've talked about this many times as well, right? It's the whole hospital system, it's the whole the trauma that is brought upon the woman in bringing that life into this world, right? It's not a divine way of doing things, right? It's just pain, pain, pain all the way. And it's just not in alignment or in true alignment with how a birthing process should be.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of 100s on that. Thank you guys. Yeah, we got a lot of people agreeing here. Goddess Essence Energy says, how can they want to procreate when the world looks the way it does? They don't want to bring kids into this reality.
She makes a really good point, because that the kids are on their phones, but then they're probably also depressed because of what that woman in your chat just said, that the way they probably perceive the world is like, because I know I felt like that, just like, like a couple years ago, I was like, why would I want to bring kids into this world? It's like, it's sometimes, and then you hear a lot of people like that I interview, they talk about the soul trap and reincarnation, if that's a thing, a lot of people are like disgusted with the world right now. They feel like they didn't ask to come here. They don't know why they're here. A lot of people are questioning their reality. So they're like, why would I bring kids in this world when I can't handle this world myself? If that
And
makes
if you
sense.
want to stay out of the system, you want to homeschool, and you don't want to get the forced, all the 20 some shots at the beginning, just all this crazy stuff, or more than that. I don't even know. It's like within the first hour.
What I've noticed too? I wonder if this has something to do with it. This is kind of off the cuff, but not really. Like, I've noticed that a lot of people in our community, just from interviewing a lot of people and a lot of people in my chat, like, have autoimmune disorders. I don't know what that's from. And it's uncanny. So many people have, like, because I have a lot of healers that come on my show and stuff, and so many people will be like, I have autoimmune disorder. I have autoimmune disorder. Where is that coming from? You know what I mean? Like, is it from what you said, Ani, from what we get at birth?
It's from that, it's from the food and the chemicals, and it's also the electromagnetic frequencies that are running through our planet. We're literally frying our bodies right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
and it's increasing. And so we're using all of this energy and stuff. And also, I mean, it's also natural to, because we're where we are in our, solar cycle and galactic cycle, but it's all the chemicals. Like one massive chemical starts with a G. I'll be careful saying, but they spray it on crops. And they're still spraying it, and it's water soluble. So that means that if they spray it on the crops, it goes into the whole system, and it like literally rains down on you. And they're just pushing it out, and so we're just getting blasted with all forms of like chemicals and stuff. And so our bodies are trying to, adapt to it, and we're just in this like, we're just bombarded. And so we need to try and detox, but it's hard to,
Yeah.
detox.
The body starts to turn upon
Yeah.
itself
Yeah.
because it has nowhere to release, all of those negative radicals,
Yeah.
detrimental radicals. So what I've been doing, because I have autoimmune as well, it's inflammation in the body. And then continual inflammation, it starts to attack all of your weakened points in your field. So it starts to go for your like most recent injuries, all your recent, anywhere that you've ever had dysfunctions with your health. It starts to turn upon and like attack those places first. And yeah, so I've been noticing this is why I want to, over the next month and a half, I'm going to kind of switch gears on my channel and start talking a little bit more about health because I've been finding some solutions for these things. I've noticed that upping your antioxidants like greatly and significantly reduces inflammation and reduces autoimmune flare-ups because that's what's happening as the body flares up like a solar flare.
What are your best ways to get antioxidants, and like that you found I mean,
High antioxidant foods.
berries and stuff,
I think eating the
Blueberries.
rainbow. Yeah, you got to get like deep into the like strong colors. Um,
like
anything that
watermelon.
Cruciferous vegetables.
Okay, it's like
um
broccoli, kale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
carrots, sweet potatoes, anything roots in the ground, anything that's protected in the ground, like your root systems, deep purples, eggplants, and seeds.
Beets.
Seeds.
Beets.
Yeah, seeds. Grape seeds. If you can get heirloom organic grape seeds, those are like one of the highest antioxidant supplements.
The other very important thing is vitamin D3K2. And we're not getting enough sun. We're not out in the sun enough. And so most people are deficient on our planet, unless you're like living outside, literally. So that's super important. Selenium is really important. Zinc is super important. And then also vitamin C. So if you take combination of those 4 things, and you'll start helping your body.
Yeah. Also magnesium, because
Yeah.
magnesium for the heart. Your heart
Yeah.
literally needs magnesium.
Yeah, magnesium is huge too. And you can actually like get a spray or like an oil, and you can put the oil on yourself, and you'll get it that way. It'll absorb into your skin.
And then for guys, I would say watermelon because it has citrulline that helps your blood circulation, but then it's also anti-inflammatory watermelon. And then also watermelon has lycopene in it, which is known to fight cancer, So
All
that's
melons, all melons, not just watermelon. Yeah.
it's all
Honeydew melon, cantaloupe melon. Yes, because they're like the most pH balanced fruit that you can get. So stay away from anything that's gonna be like high citrus stuff isn't actually like I know it's really good, but like pineapples and like kiwis and like
Super sugary.
lemons for detoxing, but anything that's like super high acidic can actually disrupt it. Because what's happening, I notice, is like the gut. The gut right now is very difficult to balance and maintain, especially with inflammation and autoimmune. The gut, because it's your first brain. It's where everything's like literally processing what's going on in the body. So it's where for most people, it's dysregulating first.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. And
Yeah.
also all the grains, like, I mean, after I had, breast cancer 5 years ago, I healed myself naturally, basically, without any Western medicine. And I haven't eaten any grain for 5 years, no sugar and no dairy. So all of those things are super high inflammatory. And because they spray a lot of those products, and because the animals are eating those sprayed products, you're ingesting that and getting it into your system. And so it's a super strict, diet for myself, but it's like I'd rather be on that for the rest of my life than die of cancer.
So are you vegan or are you like vegetarian?
I eat meat, but it has to be 100% grass-fed, grass-finished. And the
Okay.
reason why I eat meat is because of my genetic profile it's very important to your genetic profile to find out
Yeah.
exactly what you have. But I don't methylate properly, and so my methylation process is kind of off. And so in order for me to support that, I have to eat meat sometimes. And
Yeah.
so I don't eat it all the time, only sometimes. And I always like bless like what I'm eating, and I always make sure that the animal was not suffering when it was dying, like that they properly process the animal. But I don't eat it all the time. It's kind of more like the hunter-gatherer type of thing. Cause like when in the past, hunter-gatherers, they wouldn't eat that much meat. If they caught an animal, they would eat like a little bit, and then it would be shared with everyone else. And then you would
Yeah.
like move and exercise. So it was only once in a while. It wasn't an all the time thing,
I saw in those TV shows, some of those cultures, they'll eat like every part of the animal too. They don't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's pretty, like, whereas like here in the US, we only eat certain, it's interesting.
Right.
I think it's also very important for us right now that we're dealing with so many problems, particularly autoimmune, like our own bodies are turning upon itself to eat ourselves alive and basically destroy, self-destruct, is to be on a consistent and constant detox regimen. I just recently, over the last couple of months, have had to up my detoxification protocols. And I didn't realize that I could do them that way. I thought for the longest time, oh, I just do like, a cleanse here and a cleanse there. I'm
Mhm.
finding that I need to be on a detox every single day. I need to be
Yep.
drinking like apple cider vinegar in the morning before I drink anything else every single day to flush the chemicals. I mean, because we're so
Yeah.
inundated.
Yeah.
We
We need
are.
something to constantly be cleansing every single day. So apple cider vinegar is amazing, truly amazing. And if you don't like apple cider vinegar, they have peach vinegar. You can do that as well.
You don't
Also
drink it
has some
straight,
other
do you? Or do you put you
dilute it.
dilute it?
Yep, a little bit of apple
Tea.
cider vinegar, like a teaspoon with some
Mhm.
water, and you drink it. And then also you can get supplements, which are nice because then you can do a little bit of supplementation throughout the day. And then also another thing that works amazing is aloe vera cleanse, especially
Mhm.
for the gut, because
Yep.
it's so soothing on your digestive system, and this is so dysregulated, right? So it's like continual consumption of aloe vera juice or even eating the raw plant, which sounds crazy, but you got to do what you got to do in these times because stuff is crazy.
Yeah.
So
You know what, Indy? That Karen lady I told you about that is all into health that I want you to get on your show. She says that it's aloe vera is an absolute must into that. So
mhm.
she would totally back up what you're saying. She feels like you should. That's like a must you should have, like the aloe vera juice. I even have some. Like I feel like it helps a lot.
It's a little bit hard to drink at first, but you just have to
You get used to
force
it.
yourself and convince yourself you like it because it's one of the best things for you. Yep.
If
Because
you
you
mix
can think,
that,
what do those plants do when they heal a cut? Like people in
yeah.
Hawaii would use that on their skin to cut, like heal cuts and stuff. And then if that does that to the skin, think about what it could do to the inside of your body. It could be like amazingly healing, right?
Yes, absolutely. Your liver, your gallbladder, your spleen. I'm having to heal my gallbladder right now. I literally had gallbladder hiccups or ruptures. I had 3 gallbladder ruptures.
Did you do a
So,
cleanse yet?
Wow.
Because a lot of that times that can be stones. Like Matthew Mornian told me that like sometimes your liver and gallbladder can get filled up with stones, and then you just need to if you do a couple cleanses, like if you do the I have the book by Andreas Moritz, it's called The Amazing Liver Gallbladder Cleanse. It's a whole process you do, but it works. I mean, I did it, and I'm just gonna tell you, like I saw when I looked down I'm not being gross or anything. When I looked down at the toilet, I saw all these stones, like, and I was like, holy shit. I was holding on to all these stones. It's called the Amazing Liver Gallbladder Flush.
They
It's
look like Brussels sprouts, don't they, Rob?
yeah,
They
they're
look like
green.
oh,
Yeah, and there was a lot. Like I had to. It was the second I did it. The first time I did it, it didn't work. I had to do it a second time. I did it a second time, and then it worked. And then I felt a lot better because that for people that don't know, I have fatty liver. So like, but it helped like my fatty liver because you're taking in a lot of like lemon juice and olive oil, and it's a weird mix, like, but it's an Epsom salt. It makes you go to
Epsom
the
salt.
bathroom a lot, but I mean, it's interesting for sure.
So that's the Epsom salt one. Yeah, I've done that one, the Epsom salt. What, does it have the hydrangea root in it too, Rob?
I didn't use that, but that's you can use that, I think. I'm not sure. Yeah. But there's a whole book. It's by, like I said, it's by Andreas Moritz, and it's called the Amazing Liver Gallbladder Flush.
Okay, yeah, thanks. You'll have to send that to me. Maybe I'll take a look at it. Right, yeah, but the apple cider vinegar I think has been working well. The aloe vera, and then also I'm doing a castor oil cleanse. Like
Oh,
that's
literally
hardcore.
just
me too.
consuming castor oil. Yeah,
That's hardcore.
yeah.
I've been doing like a paste, and this is like an Ayurvedic remedy for digestion and just sort of getting the stomach juices back in alignment. So equal parts of cayenne pepper, black pepper, and dry ginger. Mix that with honey, as much honey as you can, make, just to make it like a thick paste, and just make it into a little, a paste, and you can just keep eating it like 2-3 times a day, and that's really helped me in the last few weeks. So it's a bit spicy, but you would think it's contraindicative to settling your stomach, but it's not. It's really building back that inner lining of your stomach to
Yeah.
help with
I agree with
digestion.
you. I agree with you, Raquel. The cayenne pepper is amazing for
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
just feel it like clearing your whole system.
You
yeah,
can
yeah.
make a green drink with aloe vera. So you put aloe vera, you put Vitamineral greens. They're really, really good. It's by Health Force, I believe. And then you put a little bit of cayenne pepper in there with spring water, and then you just mix it up like in a ball jar and just drink it. And you can actually do like a 5 to 10 day fast using that formula and just drinking that, and that'll really cleanse your system. The other thing that is super amazing is a far infrared sauna. And so you sit in there for about, 45 minutes and just sweat it out. And, it's so good for you. I have one and I invested in one. It's about like $5,000, but I highly recommend investing in one.
I just
Heard
did a
those are really
regular
good.
sauna today.
Yeah.
I didn't do the infrared one.
Yeah.
I agree. That's on my list of things to get is to have more access to red light. Because where do you find an infrared sauna? Like,
You can find them on Amazon. You can get them on Amazon, I think, but I don't know how good they are. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you're gonna price range. You got to just kind of feel it out and get
About
what.
5,000 for a good one.
Wow,
But you'll
that's
have
a
it for
lot.
life. You'll have it for life. And then you can, it can be like a meditation place. Like,
You know what, Ani? It's the same thing with like water too, right? They say if
yeah.
you want the best water, you need to get a reverse osmosis machine, which can
Mhm.
run you up to 2 grand. But like they say, it's worth it once you get it, because then you have like clean water
Yeah.
and it's really good water for like the rest of whatever. I don't know how people feel about reverse osmosis, but it's supposed to be pretty good, you know?
I use a mega home,
We
and
have
you have that, Missy. It's about $300, and then you re-inoculate the water with carbon filters, and so it's really good. And it's like a little thing. You fill it up, and then you have like your little like gallon handle water jug thing, and it's one of the best if you can't afford $2,000. It's called a mega home.
Wow, I'll check that out.
Yeah, I'll text you guys.
Yeah, definitely. I'm interested for
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
yeah, and a lot of people are tuning in with this conversation here. Inanna was just confirming, Rob, with you on the amazing liver gallbladder flush. She says that she's done that about 8 times. And yeah, the things our bodies and organs hold on to would shock us. We need to release deeply. I think we always should be working towards preserving and cleansing them always. Yeah, especially during this day and time, everything we're exposed to right now, it's so important. Um, yeah, well, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. This was an amazing conversation tonight, you guys. Thanks for coming on and discussing the Pope with me and getting into the health discussion. I really sense right now that the health is something that we're all kind of deeply like thinking about and working on. So I'm looking to do a health and healing fair coming up June 6th through the 8th. So I'll start talking about that soon once I get everything, all my ducks in a row in alignment with it. But I hope that everyone comes and joins me for that once I kind of announce it. Karen McDonald is probably going to be one of my teachers that's going to come and do that with me. Marguerite Regaglioso, Margaret Jacobson with Yin Care. Noko, she's going to do some self-care stuff. She's really big on self-care, self-love. So yeah, it's going to be a lot to look forward to coming up in June. Um, does anyone have any last message for our viewers watching tonight? Be sure to check out everyone's channel. Ani has a channel, Quantum Messages with Ani Sophine, Racquel, All That Is, uh, Rob, Typical Skeptic Podcast. I'll plug your
2.0
guys's.
on YouTube because the first one got taken down because I'm heavily censored. So follow me on Rumble too, guys. I'm on Rumble as Typical Skeptic Podcast and 2.0 on YouTube, if that makes any sense.
Okay, awesome. I'll plug everybody's links in the description when we get done. And thank you guys for joining me. Yeah, any last words, you guys?
I just want to thank you. You ladies are amazing, and I really appreciate you having me. And I had so much fun. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
always. Sacred brother. Yeah, Ani and Rob canceled their show to come on my show tonight. So thank you guys so much for tuning in with me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Be sure to put a big like on this video on your way out. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that notifications bell so you can continue to get my messages. Be sure to head over to my website, IndigoAngel222.com. Sign up for my newsletters so you can continue to get all of the writing that I put out. I put lots of stuff out every single week, lots of new activations and just all of the current events that are happening. I'm constantly writing about things. And also offering a special right now on my implant and seal removal course. I spoke about that in the video that I posted earlier, so I'll also leave links down in the description for that as well. If you are wanting to embark on the practice of implant and seal removal as a personal practice, I think it's very significant, just as much as the cleansing of the health and doing all the detoxing, also working on removing your blockages energetically, spiritually, and emotionally, and psychologically in all the ways that we can. So I offer a course for that, and I'll leave the links for that in the description as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. We love you all so much, and have a beautiful everything.
Bye, everyone.
And Rob is out the door.
Yeah.